Welcome to the 8th video in the Secrets to Drawing video course brought to you by thevirtualinstructor.com. In this video, we're going to explore creating the illusion of space further with three-point perspective. Three-point perspective is a form of linear perspective that uses lines to create the illusion of space on a two-dimensional surface. Three-point perspective, unlike two-point or one-point perspective, relies on three vanishing points to create this illusion. Remember, there are 6 ways to create the illusion of space on a two-dimensional surface. Three-point perspective is one of the 6 ways to create this illusion. Remember, unlike one- and two-point perspective, three-point perspective has one vanishing point that is placed in a location other than on the horizon line. Three-point perspective is generally used to create an exaggerated point of view. So let's take a look at it. We'll begin with three-point perspective like we have with the other two forms of perspective, by defining the horizon line. Next, we'll place 2 of the 3 vanishing points on the horizon line, much like we did in two-point perspective. In three-point perspective, we go ahead and draw lines of perspective to each of the vanishing points. Now we add a third vanishing point either at the bottom or the top of the surface. In this case, I'm adding it at the bottom. Now we'll add lines from the bottom vanishing point upward so that they intersect each of the corners of our previous 4 lines that we drew. Now we can draw lines to our first 2 vanishing points to define the top portion of our form. Here's a look at the lines that we would keep to define our form. All of the other lines that we used will be erased, except for the ones that are bold. You may decide to add value to define your form further. With three-point perspective, the vanishing point can also be placed above. Here's a peek at what this would look like. Now let's do a drawing with three-point perspective. Here again you'll need a ruler, a graphite pencil, and an eraser. The first thing we're going to do is define the horizon line. Next we'll add 2 vanishing points to the horizon line. Notice that in my example, the second horizon line is off the picture plane. Remember, this is okay. Then we'll draw lines from each of the vanishing points so that they intersect. Now we'll add our third vanishing point below. It's off the picture plane, which again is okay. Then we'll draw lines from our third vanishing point upward so that they intersect each one of the corners that we drew in the previous step. Now we'll define the top portion of our form by drawing a line to one of the vanishing points. Now we'll go to the opposite vanishing point to help further define the top of our form. We'll add our last line to the opposite vanishing point to finish off the top portion of the form. Now our form is there. I'll go over the lines to make them a bit darker so that you can see them. Now we can erase any lines that we no longer need. There are a lot of extra lines to erase. Now let's draw another form that exists behind it in space. We'll do it the same way, using the same 3 vanishing points. We'll begin with 2 lines to one of the vanishing points, and then 2 more lines to the opposite vanishing point. This will establish the bottom portion of our form. Now we'll draw lines upward from our vanishing point at the bottom. Now we can draw lines from one of the vanishing points that rest on the horizon line. Then to the opposite vanishing point, and then we'll add our last line again back to the opposite vanishing point. This will define the top portion of our form. I'll go over the lines that we need to keep for this form. Now here again, we have quite a number of lines to erase. To help further define our forms, we may choose to add a bit of value. In this case, my light source is coming from the upper left-hand corner of the picture plane. Now let's add one more form to the scene. Again, 2 lines from one of the vanishing points on the horizon line, then to the opposite vanishing point. Now lines upward from the bottom vanishing point, next, draw a line to one of the vanishing points that rest on the horizon line, then to the opposite vanishing point. Then add the last line to define the top of your form. Here again, it's time to erase some lines. We'll also add a bit of value to the third form. Now we can also use 3-point perspective to help us define where the cast shadows are. In this case, our light source is coming from the left side. So I'm extending our lines of perspective out on the right side of the forms. This will help us define where our cast shadows may be. So what did we learn in this video? Well, first we learned that 3-point perspective is another form of linear perspective that uses lines to create the illusion of space in a drawing. We also learned that 3-point perspective uses 3 vanishing points, unlike 2-point perspective which uses 2 and 1-point which uses 1. 3-point perspective is generally used to create an exaggerated point of view, with 2 vanishing points placed on the horizon line and 1 placed either below or above. In the next video, we're going to take a look at specific drawing techniques to apply media to a surface.